Okay, my name's Carrie, and I'm here today to talk about Readit1st.com and my critiques or my feelings on this issue. Now, mainly, I've listened to a lot of what Jesse and Jethro and Matt have had to say on this issue, as well as, of course, Hank's video on it and Hank's email on it about this program. And the thing I have problems with, and I understand where Jesse was coming from with feeling like it's a betrayal of the values. Now, I don't go as harsh on it because I don't feel like it's that as a harsh a thing to me. Mainly because I know movies are a thing and it's something that we could attack, but I don't really feel like they're an entity that can be harmed or an entity that really is kind of a breathing entity. I think it's more of a corporate, kind of as its core negative entity. I mean, I don't think it necessarily, I think its work, its art breeds good things for us, but I don't think it as a whole is a positive, growing, loving thing for us. So I don't really feel as strong about that because I just don't feel like it's really something we're harming, and I don't think it's really a thing that's really hurting the morals or the ethics or the standards of Nerdfighteria. Now, there is one chance. I mean, part of the idea of this is, of course, if it gets big enough, you could get kind of, I don't want to say negative publicity, or it could become a propaganda piece or a political piece, or a, MSNBC or a CNN or a Fox News or a morning show may want to have you on if the site gets enough hits. Oh, what's this new site about, and what does this mean, as regards to this, that, and the other. And it has a great chance of getting that because of the Vlogbrothers standings and the fact that they've been on a lot of shows already. But I don't necessarily think that even that exposure, which would be big, don't get me wrong. I mean, any TV exposure talking about books is fantastic. Even if they're kind of in this negative way, is fantastic. But I just don't feel like even that is really going to make the campaign most effective. I think it'll become a little bit more effective then, but I still think you're just going to gain more people that are kind of like-minded. But now, where I do feel that is going wrong, though, is more on a marketing standpoint, because I feel like the Read It First campaign is meant to, get more readers and get people excited about reading. But what I feel like the campaign is going to set up to do is going to get the core group excited, and it will get a big group of these core excited about the people that have already felt this way, people that already agreed this way, people that tweeted at him when he first posted it, is because it's this idea that people already have, people already love this group that have already kind of have this intense emotions. What I don't feel like is it's going to gain that much support from others, because I think it's just going to make reading seem more like an obligation, or more like a mandate, or more like something they have to do. And I don't think that's necessarily the way to go with kids. I mean, I know in high school, any book I had to read, I generally didn't like. I mean, I read them later in life, and I find out, well, this book's more enjoyable. But for whatever reason, just the feeling of a book being obligated in any sort of way to you just became less enjoyable. I mean, it happens at the same time anything has hype. Sometimes you read it and it's just like, well, it's good, but it's not that good. Like, it's not, super fantastic. It's just, it's a good thing. It's just, but it feels like almost like a letdown because it's not as good as the hype, or in your opinion. So it can feel like it decreases. And the same thing, it's like kind of like an obligation, kind of like a mandate. Like, you must do this. And I know that's part of the program, but I just don't feel like it brings new people into the thing, which I believe is the problem with it. And I guess the real core of it comes down to a big mess with why aren't people reading? And the core reason why people learn to read, at least when my background is in, I have an undergraduate degree in child development, and through one major study we looked at, is they looked at that the biggest key indicator on whether kids were going to read wasn't how much their parents read, wasn't a bunch of other factors, it was if they had a lot of books in the house. And if the family had a lot of books in the house, the kid was more likely to read. And of course that comes with the whole issue of affluence and education, and there is those other stuff wrapped up in that factor because books can be expensive to have a large library. I mean, they are, but that's still kind of the area you need to focus on, is, in my opinion, is the parents. If you get the parents, and I know kids say, no, don't talk to a parent. It is the area to go to. I mean, kids are their own people, but I mean, their parents are their best model. I mean, granted, I don't subscribe to some of those theorists that believe that as soon as your kid gets out of the house, their peer group becomes a bigger influence on them than their parent does. And in some areas they do. I wouldn't agree with those theorists as a whole. They're just not my camp. So if you're in that camp, we're going to disagree on that factor. But I still feel that for kids, pretty much the majority of their life, are their parents are their mandates. So I think a lot of times aiming things towards parents, letting parents know the importance of reading that gets their kids. I think a source that kind of lets them know that this movie has a book. Because sometimes a movie comes out, and you haven't heard of the book before, but you've heard of the movie, so you can kind of get people interested in it that way. Because I also think there's almost like a problem misplaced, and I need to do research on this, and that's one of the things I want to do. So if you know any good book sales tracking websites, I would love to see them in comments. Because what I want to do is I want to look at sales of a book before movie, sales of a book as it's being announced, that whole process through there, to kind of see. Because my hypothesis is because at the very least, almost every book that gets turned into a movie gets a new printing. Granted, this comes with a movie cover, which I know some people hate, but it's another printing of your book, another sales of your book, and in my opinion, any sales, even if it's with a glossy actor cover, is better than no sales. So it's kind of that whole area. So that's what I want to do, as I want to look at that. Also look at 2 weeks later, if it was a really bad movie, if we see a dramatic book drop-off in price, like a backlash towards the book because the movie was bad. My problem goes more to I don't think it's a marketing win. I think you need to start attacking, always try to make it more inviting, not less. So information, decreasing boundaries, like trying to make it where it's a non-profit to try to help get people more money so people can buy books at a lower cost or for free, get more books in people's houses. That's a way to attack it. You can attack it through making it seem more accessible and exciting. I think these are the ways to get to people, not through mandates, not through obligations, not through pledges. I think that's just going to get the people that are already in those camps, more in those camps, and not bring in fresh blood. And I think that's what books really need, is that fresh blood, that group of people that love to read. Like my sister, she's 10 years old. Every book she wants to read is whatever book's in my hand. It's that kind of stuff. It's at that age that, the coolest things to read are what's in the books in other people's hands. So, getting those kind of things to the forefront. The other problem with that is that it also kind of attacks kind of the wrong problem. Because Read It First, you're talking about, okay, read it first for books that make it to movies. But the books that make it to movies, now, while also not always true, as they say in child development, nothing is ever true. All studies on human nature are not always true. But with books, most of the time, if they make it into a movie, the author is either rich or dead or were rich and died. That's kind of the category of people that are in this. Like, does Nicholas Sparks need people to read his book first before they see the movie? No. I know there's a huge fan base that say, yes, you have to read the books first. But does even J.K. Rowling need people to read? So, even like financial standpoint of these people, I know they're kind of the standard bearer for the industry. But as I said, I think their books are being bought more just by the nature. They wouldn't continue to do this new printing with this book movie printing if it wasn't successful, which is why I feel fairly strongly going out with that hypothesis. As I said, I do want to do research, but I feel fairly strongly about it because it's so still done. These companies are dumb. If it wasn't making money for them, if they weren't selling more copies, they would stop doing the program. They would stop putting in new publishing out. So that's what I feel about it. I feel that it's just not the way to go, and those are my solutions for it. I know they're not great, but that's where I think we need to sort of hone in on, is helping parents get more books to their kids, helping parents understand the importance of the books, helping people know when there's a movie, the book that comes with a movie, or that came before a movie, letting them know these kind of factors, helping them get copies of these books is more the factors, helping people know, well, if you enjoyed this movie, you will enjoy this book, kind of do a reference section, like, if you enjoy this movie, you will enjoy this. I think that's the way to attack people, is giving them recommendations on stuff they already love. Why attack something they love? Instead, say, if you love this, there's a good chance you'll love this. I think you need to more shake hands with movies than push movies away. It's because I think they like them or hate them, they're not going away. And I think they can be more of a opening door as opposed to a block or a opposition. And I just feel like if I felt like it was going to be a working marketing campaign, I'd be all for it. Like, as I said, I don't see as much of the ethical issues. I understand why some people feel that way, and I respect that for them. But I don't feel like it's that big of a betrayal of capital. I mean, just Nerfiteria in and of itself, just the Vlogbrothers in and of themselves, has increased literacy a ton. It's got people to read a lot more books. It's got people to think more critically about their books. I mean, just the idea of the practice of looking through it critically and looking at books critically and looking at things critically like the Vlogbrothers and their followers do is a great thing for books. And that's where I'll end. I probably rambled and gone on too long. So this has been Carrie. Thanks for listening. And I would love to see your opinions in the comments. We can talk about finances or whatever else in the comments. It's not a subject. I'm not an economist. I'm an occupational therapist, so it's not my forte. But I'm going to be working on trying to find that information. Granted, it may be a little bit slow because if you watch my other videos or if you ever do, I'm going through this whole house remodeling project. But it's something I want to do in the future to try to look at this so I can actually be honest with my hypothesis and let you know if I'm wrong about it. But those are my feelings on it. And so I will talk to you later. All right, bye.